Hi moms, this is me. I am back in my car again because my kids would not allow me to do a video in the house, so I'm in my car again. So I really wanted to come on really quick and kind of talk about bullying. And so I had did a post earlier today on my Instagram and my Facebook about how to deal with bullies. And I was reading an article, and so that kind of urged me to do a video. And so I want to kind of tell a story first with my daughter in regards to her situation. And so probably about last year, my 10-year-old daughter, she was 9 at the time, she had an issue with bullying. And so she was being bullied at school, and there was another girl that would be picking on her every day. And so I asked my daughter, I was like, did you tell the teacher? And so I would ask her this every day, because she would come home like complaining, saying that this girl keep picking on her. And I said, did you report this to the teacher? Did you report it to the principal? And all of that. And so she said, yeah. She said, yeah, she did. And so, over time, this was like within a week time span. And so I went up to the school, and so, I had a conversation with the teacher, and I was like, my daughter keeps telling me that, that this girl is picking on her, and I told her to report it to you, to report it to the principal, and that, if no one does anything about it, that I told her to defend herself, because, bullying should not be occurring, and it should be stopped immediately when it's being reported. And so she was like, oh, it's no big deal. Now, this is coming from the teacher now. And I'm like, saying to myself, in my head, I'm having these thoughts like, I really just want to like go off on this teacher right now. But I'm really just like in deep thought, praying to myself while she's talking to me, because what she's saying is like blah, 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 blah. And so I was like, I said, ma'am, do you have children? And she said, yes. And I said, if this was your daughter, how would you react? And what would you do? So immediately she was like, okay, I get it. I will handle the situation. And so immediately she handled the situation. And so sometimes I think that, when we're dealing with bullies and dealing with teachers having to deal with those situations, sometimes the teachers don't know to the extent how serious the situation is, because they're doing a job. And so they're not taking it personal. And so they don't really see the seriousness of the bullying situation. And so to that, I was reading this article today, and it was talking about kind of putting together a guide on how to deal with bullying for parents. And so some of the symptoms that it talked about was like for kids, when they have like tummy aches, or they worry, they talk about they don't want to go to the school. And those were some of the things that my daughter was telling me about, like she didn't want to go to the school anymore. She was worrying. She was fearful. And so that kind of was like, oh, wow, man, I wish I would have had this article sooner. And then one of the other things it talks about was having open communication with your children. And so I definitely do have open communication with my kids. And it also talked about preparing a kit for bullying. So you basically prepare a kit for your kids in order to deal with bullies. And so in this kit, you would have it's not a paper kit, it's just like a mental kit. So you would kind of talk to your kids about the bullying aspect of it and how to deal with bullying. You would have role-playing scenarios. So you would role-play, just for an example, like if someone comes up to your child and, says something mean to them, so your child would, you would act out how to deal with that situation with your child. You also, in that kit, you want to build up your child's confidence and teaching them, the right way to react. And that means they may have to report it to a teacher, report it to a school counselor, report it to the school security, report it to the principal, or whoever the adult is that's right there at that time. Now, the article did kind of speak to cyberbullying. But my kids, I have not had any issues with cyberbullying, so I didn't really speak to that much, because my kids do not really have they have social media, but I monitor that really closely. So, we don't really do a whole lot of social media for them. I have social media, but I did tell them that whatever they post, it can be used against them. So they post very little. And if they do post some, especially, my younger kids, I pretty much post for them. Now my teenagers, when they post, I know what they're posting too. So I'm pretty close monitoring the social media piece aspect of that too. And I make sure that they are aware that whatever you post, it can be used against you. So they are fully aware of that. Another tip that I read from the article, it talked about, encourage your child to be an upstander. That means that you want your child to stand up for other children that are being bullied. I thought that was very interesting and a very good point too, because if you see someone else being bullied, especially as a child, you want to, be a good, upstander and, tell someone or report it, or even, stand up for that child and say, hey, this is not okay. Are you okay? Do you need help or anything like that, to try to help that child, because you would want someone to do that for you. And some of the other tips were just like contact the offender's parents, partner with the school by getting involved with like the PTA, or getting involved with, volunteering in the classrooms, different things like that. And it also talked about teaching the kids coping skills. Now, the coping skills aspect was mainly focused on like teaching them how to deal with like the after effects of bullying. So like the mental piece to that. Sometimes some kids may need a therapist. Some kids may need, just being checked upon, or they may need some type of, they might need a mentor or anything like that. Because sometimes you never know to the extent of bullying how intense it may be. It could be sometimes physical bullying, it could be verbal bullying, it could be the cyberbullying. You just never know to the extent as to how deep and how, intense it is. But I just wanted to share that with you, because I think that, as parents, we have to be mindful and be ready to deal with these type of issues, because bullying is something that's pretty much worldwide, and it's going on earlier and earlier in kids' ages. In grade school, elementary school, kids are getting bullied. We're seeing it on the news. We're seeing it everywhere. So it's important that, we as moms, as parents, aunts, uncles, grandmas, whoever the parent is, maybe, that we're getting involved in our kids' lives, and, being involved in their schools, in their education as much as possible, and talking to our kids and having that relationship with them as much as we can. And also, if you're interested in, please, I will put the link below in my video. I'll have the link below, and I'll also have my Facebook and my Instagram information below, so you can check that out too on my on my stuff. But I just want to thank you all for watching.